The music room echoed with quiet chatter as students trickled in for voice class. Sheet music rustled, pianos chimed softly, and the new substitute teacher, Mr. Lawson, stood beside the whiteboard with a clipboard in hand. His eyes scanned the room, checking attendance one by one. Among the eager students sat a woman in her 40s, dressed modestly in a beige sweater and simple skirt. Her hands rested neatly on her lap, her demeanor quiet and composed. Nobody paid much attention to her. Most assumed she was a school assistant or possibly a parent. Mr. Lawson looked up from his clipboard. "All right, folks, we're trying something special today." He lifted a folder and waved it. Puccini, Nessun Dorma. The room hushed instantly. A few students gasped. The aria was legendary, soaring, difficult, meant for voices that had lived and learned. "Who wants to try it?" he asked. Silence. Eyes averted. A boy at the back chuckled. "That's way out of our league, sir." Mr. Lawson smirked. "That's why we learn." Then, spotting the quiet woman, he tilted his head. Why don't you give it a try?" All eyes turned to her. The woman blinked. "Me?" she asked gently. "Yes, you, Mr. Lawson insisted. "It's a masterclass. Step up, let's see what you've got." Students whispered. One girl whispered to her friend, "Why's he picking her? She doesn't even look like a singer." The woman stood slowly. She walked to the front, her footsteps barely making a sound. Mr. Lawson handed her the sheet. "Do your best," he said. She nodded politely. "Would you mind if I sing it a cappella?" she asked. He raised a brow. "Confident, are we?" She only smiled in return. The room watched, expecting a nervous, untrained voice to fumble through the intricate notes. Phones were secretly raised to record, assuming it would make for an awkward moment. Mr. Lawson crossed his arms, curious but clearly skeptical. Then she took a breath, a long, deep inhale that filled her whole chest. Silence gripped the room. She opened her mouth, and from her lips poured a voice so rich, so powerful, it felt as if the walls vibrated. The opening note was flawless, resonating like velvet thunder. Students sat frozen, mouths agape. The first phrase rang out with the elegance of a seasoned soprano, every vowel caressed, every note sustained with perfect breath control. Her tone was warm, refined, and hauntingly emotional. Mr. Lawson's eyes widened. She reached the more complex passage with poise, hitting high notes effortlessly. Her voice soared above the quiet room, like a nightingale under spotlight. Even those unfamiliar with opera could tell, they were witnessing something extraordinary. Tears welled in the eyes of one girl sitting near the front. Another student dropped their phone, too captivated to keep recording. The music wasn't just impressive, it was transcendent. It filled the soul and made time feel suspended. Mr. Lawson, now visibly stunned, slowly lowered his arms. He watched every move, every delicate inflection, as the woman delivered the most spellbinding rendition of the aria he'd ever heard. Her voice carried years of experience, pain, joy, and mastery. As she approached the final crescendo, the room collectively held its breath. The last phrase, Vincero, 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 exploded from her chest like a cry from the heavens. The echo lingered even after her lips had closed. Silence, absolute silence. Then the sound of one chair creaking as a student stood and began to clap. The rest followed, stunned into a standing ovation. Applause erupted. A few students cheered, others were still frozen, unable to comprehend what they'd just witnessed. Mr. Lawson blinked. That was unbelievable. He took a step forward. "What's your name?" She gave a gentle bow. "Elena Rossi," she said. The name rang a bell in the back of his mind. His brow furrowed. "Wait, Rossi, as in, La Scala, Salzburg Festival." She nodded softly. "I used to perform." The students gasped. Someone whispered, "No way." Another pulled out their phone and Googled her name. Sure enough, images flooded the screen, Elena in elegant gowns, arms outstretched in front of massive opera houses. "You're the Elena Rossi, Mr. Lawson asked, half in awe, half in disbelief. She chuckled. "I stepped away from the stage years ago. Moved here for a quieter life. I just wanted to sing again, even if only in a classroom." The room erupted in gasps. Mr. Lawson ran a hand through his hair. "Why didn't you say anything?" She shrugged. "Sometimes it's nice to be anonymous. Let the voice speak first." A hush returned. For a moment, nobody knew what to say. Then one boy exclaimed, "That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." Word spread quickly. By the end of the day, the entire school was buzzing. Videos went viral. Mystery woman stuns music class with hidden talent. Headlines read. Local news reached out. Opera circles online lit up with speculation and excitement. Elena became a quiet sensation. The principal invited her to speak at the next assembly. Students lined up to ask her questions about technique, training, and stage life. Some simply wanted to thank her for showing them what passion could truly look like. She began offering weekly voice lessons, and sign-ups overflowed. Even the most timid students were eager to learn. Her presence transformed the music program. Scholarships were discussed. Donors reached out. The music department flourished. But Elena remained humble. She still wore the same beige sweater, still took the bus to school. She told students, fame is fleeting, but music is eternal. She reminded them that greatness starts in small places, with discipline, love, and a willingness to fail and try again. One afternoon, Mr. Lawson asked if she would join him in teaching full-time. Elena paused. "I'm not sure," she said. "I've lived so much on stage. Maybe now it's time to give that life to others." He smiled. "You already are." A year passed. The students grew in confidence and skill. They performed pieces once considered too ambitious. They sang with soul. They understood music differently now. They had seen what it meant to feel a song, not just sing it. At the annual spring concert, the auditorium was packed. Rumors swirled. Would Elena perform again? The final piece was announced. Nessun Dorma. Gasps filled the room. Then the curtains opened, and a student, 16-year-old Leah, stood center stage, trembling slightly. Elena walked on, quietly, and stood beside her. She nodded. The music began. This time, Elena sang harmony. She let Leah lead. Together, they created magic. It wasn't about showing off anymore. It was about sharing. About legacy. About love. The performance earned a thunderous standing ovation. Not just for the vocals, but for the story behind them. A woman who once commanded the world's stages had found deeper meaning in a simple classroom, and in doing so, had awakened the brilliance in others. After the show, parents and students crowded around. Some were in tears. "You've changed my child's life," one mother whispered. Elena smiled and replied, "No. Your child already had the music inside. I just helped her find it." Years later, students would still talk about that day. About the moment an opera star revealed herself not with glamour, but with grace. They'd remember how their quietest day in class became the most unforgettable. Elena Rossi's legacy didn't live on in sold-out theaters or reviews in Paris or Vienna. It lived in that small school. In the voices she inspired. In the lives she touched. And in the powerful reminder that behind every quiet soul could be a thunderous, beautiful truth.